you. Thank you both.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Tom, I'm gonna update you who I think is attending.
Oh, okay.
Just from the committee.
Oh, okay. Just a second. It looks like we're going live. That's always good.
Mine says meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
And we're gonna let Bob Reitman in. And take a look.
Hi, Bob. So I think we have Bob, Tim Reynolds, Jim Deacon. I'm not sure about Cindy Corey. Warren Morris is in. Steve Szymborski emailed that he may have to join closer to 5:30.
Okay. We're live streaming. We're good.
And I'm not sure about Nancy Wright. So that's what I know as far as attendees.
Okay. And then once the meeting gets started, I'm going to blank my camera and mute my microphone.
Okay.
I can hear there's a problem. I can, here comes Gene to answer the phone. Yeah, so we are live streaming and we should be good to go. And I'll just admit as they arrive.
Okay, thank you very, very much.
No problem. Hey, Bob, your microphone is muted. I can unmute it or you can. All right, I'm going to unmute it.
Unmute.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
And
now
I
we
did.
hear you.
Yes, I brought my shining brown pate to this meeting.
That's all right. We can see and hear you and you can hear us. So that's a good thing.
Good afternoon, Janet. Oh, muted. So Janet, you can hear me, right? When we go through, if there's any changes to this chart, I hope you'll back me up on catching the changes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've got it right here, so I'll be writing them down as well.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Kennedy is not able to attend.
Here comes.
And Steve Szymborski emailed you and said he's not going to.
He said maybe at 5:30, but I was thinking we were going to zip. Good afternoon, Jim.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing okay.
Good.
You got your work background.
I do, yeah.
Nice.
I'd been working, surprisingly enough.
That happens.
Well.
So Tim, I was saying Mike Kennedy is not able to join us, and Steve Szymborski emailed that he will try and join a little bit later.
Okay. Both of whom have already seen the report and had an opportunity to comment, right?
Indeed.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So let's see if we get Warren. Warren had said he was available, and then I wasn't sure about Cindy, Corey, or Nancy Wright. So we'll see who we get.
Oh.
Hey, Bob, I see you there. I owe
You
you
can
an
even hear me.
I can hear you. I owe you an apology. You had asked that I give you a call, and I'm afraid I forgot that. I'll give you a call if it's okay in the morning.
Sure. Well, let's see
Okay.
how things go today, because I was really going to talk about the agenda, and it may be we don't need to do it, or we do need to do it.
Okay.
We'll talk about how the other committees are going, so we know when we're going to have a product to present to council.
Yeah. I am guessing. I think that Larry is coming to a conclusion on fees, fines, and other revenues. And I think I would expect that to wrap up in the next week or two. CHIPS task force is likely to take quite a bit longer. And I am thinking that we won't be able to make the July council meeting. I am hopeful that we'll be able to do the August council meeting.
Good.
Hi,
Jim,
Warren.
you're muted if you're trying to talk to us.
Oh,
We had him and then we lost. Oh, there we go. It should work now.
Yeah, I was just wondering what the process or turnaround time is if you wanted to get on the ballot. Does that have to go through so many months of council meetings before you can?
Yes,
Try to get
I would say as a
ballot?
practical matter, yes. Typically, we are required, council is required on any piece of legislation to have 3 readings. And so that would take 3 months. Under certain circumstances, council can vote to declare an emergency, and no, it's not called declare an emergency.
suspend the rules.
Suspend the rules, and vote something to come into effect within 30 days, unless you declare an emergency, in which case it would come into effect immediately. On issues of taxation, my guess is the council would be very reluctant to suspend the rules. They will want to give residents ample time to provide input. Now, to get something, and the same would be whether, for example, you are going to vote on changing the tax credit, or to increase or institute a new tax. I think in my feeling is council would likely and would be wise to have the 3 full readings.
And probably a public hearing as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
But from a practical standpoint, the period of time in which any action needs to be certified to the Board of Elections is such that we're at the earliest, if it was going to require a vote of the electorate, it would be a spring vote. So we're not up against a hard stop if it takes another meeting to get this talked out.
So Janet, how far ahead? Well, maybe it's 5:02. Should we go ahead? And Nancy, I see that you're muted, and I hope that you can hear us. Are you in? There we go.
I can hear you. This
Okay,
is Nancy. I can hear you.
okay, so I believe Steve was going to join later if possible, and Cindy, I was not sure. So I think we can go ahead and officially get started. And I did not share an agenda because the agenda is pretty much reviewing the draft of our report, and everyone did have a chance to make comments and made good comments. So I worked on incorporating those. I do have a couple more changes to kind of go through before we get started if people have additional comments. Does everybody have this to kind of think about some changes?
Yep.
Under the on the first page for 1 mil levy, under the process, it was recommended that instead of saying ballot every 5 years or term as decided by council, that we change that to term as proposed by council. So I like that. Under the cons for a 1 mil levy, renewal required after initial term. So just to clarify more, the con, instead of just saying renewal, to say a renewal required after the initial term of the levy. So the next set down under a 2 mil levy, it would be the same change of verbiage. Instead of saying decided, it would say proposed, and renewal required after initial term. And on the next page at the top, where it's reviewing income tax changes, under the first line process, ballot, it says ballot and council approval. Just to clarify, ballot approval required and council approval. And under the Mayfield school system, there were just cons in the third, and instead of saying long-term process, change it to likely a multi-year and adversarial process. And then the last change that I incorporated was under the notes, and I think everyone saw Steve's suggestion that instead of the last bullet point on our committee agrees any new taxes. The suggestion was the committee agrees that any new taxes will require comprehensive explanation to villagers, and we suggest an education plan be promptly developed and executed. So
Can you say that one slowly for me?
Yep, the committee agrees that any new taxes will require a comprehensive explanation to villagers. And we suggest an education plan be promptly developed and executed.
Yeah, it sounds better than marketing.
Yeah.
Be promptly and,
Promptly developed and executed.
thank you.
So those were pretty much the changes that I incorporated. And please, I know if I missed some of the changes or didn't fully explain, please speak up.
Yeah, this is Warren. I would like to add some more clarity on the fact that the income tax is based on a estimate, or this is a estimated revenue based on a model from RITA, if that's where it's from, and that specific information as to how many villagers would be subject to this tax is not available to us. So I'd rather have some clarity that, we're not skirting something, but we're using the best information available to us.
So Warren, Bob would probably speak to this. I did skip another incorporated change under the bullet point, under the notes, There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Under the fifth note, it is noted that Rita's estimated revenue increases are based on the assumption that 50% of the residents of Gates Mills are employed. All of Rita's estimates are based on models developed from a wide range of municipalities. And then in addition, there would be that the actual results of the income tax figures from this whole event that we're living in now will be known in January 2021. Am I right on that, Bob?
Mm-hmm. Actually, it's probably the tax due date that will give us the best, which unfortunately could be as late as October of 21. But I know, Warren, that the concern that you're expressing is one that I've had, and I know that the assumptions that they used are probably statistically legitimate, but I just don't see Gates Mills as being a model of the countywide, or it's actually broader than the county because they have downstate people too. I don't think we're going to fit the profile exactly. And so how will we not fit it is the question. How much money can we really expect?
I don't think we'll really know until October of 21.
I think you're probably right.
What I want to make sure we're very clear about is that, we have examined this alternative and that specific data relating to Gates Mills is unavailable to us. And, we're using best guess as to estimated revenues. And
that there's uncertainty around the estimate. This is only an estimate.
correct.
And I think there is probably more downside risk than upside risk in that estimate.
Yes, I would agree with you.
So on the notes, would you like me to add a sentence in there? Just the committee was that we knew we were dealing with figures that don't necessarily apply to Gates Mills. How should I say it?
I'd just say that it's using a RETA model, which is an approximation and likely doesn't fully represent Gates Mills. Doesn't model Gates Mills. And therefore the committee believes that the estimates may overestimate revenues, because I think that that's likely what's going on there. I think they're assuming more income earners than we may have.
Well, and of course, Tim and everyone, the way in which people take income, people may take income other than through salary.
Right.
And they may defer salary and take asset appreciation as which we don't get our hands on. Yep. So I think the most important message for council is we took the best information available. We have an uncertain level of confidence in it. We believe the people it's a legitimate estimate. We have confidence in Rita. We just don't think that averages are, we're like what was Garrison Keeler said, everyone in Gates Mills is above average.
Right.
I think we can add verbiage to that note. I mean, that is obviously the message I was going for, but I can be more.
Yeah,
clear.
We don't need to wordsmith by committee.
I can be stronger on that note and just say we know we weren't dealing with actual figures. And is that good with you, Warren?
Warren, that okay with you?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
When we get to council, I hope that as many people on this committee as possible will come to that council meeting that's discussed. We can add clarification if we think it's appropriate.
I agree. I think Tim and I and Janet, we'll be there, so we can definitely back up.
Yep.
Nobody wants a surprise.
Right,
either a good one or a bad one.
right.
I think I would just say the committee is uncomfortable with the model, and until we get the true results in October of 2021, we don't feel confident in making a decision on it.
I wouldn't say making a decision because we're probably going to have to make some decision. I would say relying on it.
Relying, okay, that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, relying on the model.
And
Right, exactly.
and should I say in there that really we won't have a clearer picture until October 21?
Well, you could be more specific and say, we won't know the amount of tax generated in 2020 until October 15th, 21. That's a fact.
Okay. Okay. I think I got it. Janet, do we have it?
So,
Okay.
We won't abandon you.
Is everyone comfortable that this was inclusive and a good representation of our thoughts? I know there were discussions on other things and discussions including, marketing and things that are further down the road, but they weren't really the job of this committee. So I just want to make sure that everybody feels that this report is inclusive of what we discussed as far as sharing a report.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I would agree.
Any other changes or comments?
Not for me.
Would everyone like to see the final draft?
Sure.
Yeah,
I
I think that's good practice to send out the final. But if the committee's comfortable with it, I think you can call this your final meeting, but then send out the final copy.
Right. I would agree.
Okay, and individually, everyone get back to me and just say, yes, you're comfortable with it. And then I will formally submit to Tim.
Sounds good.
Very good.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Well, I will try to incorporate what we said today and hopefully get this back out to everyone for final review.
Great, Ann. Good leadership.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much, Ann. I think this has gone very well.
I wish there were more columns of choices. However, we are where we are. So thank you all for working on the committee and Tom and Janet for staying after 5 repeatedly.
Yes,
So
that's for sure.
any questions, Tom, or anything from?
We had a maximum of 4 people viewing on the live stream and no questions. I did, however, post the thing that if you have questions or comments to email you as the.
Sounds good.
Good.
Okay.
Bob, do you want me to call you tomorrow?
No, I think we dealt
We're good?
with it for the
Okay,
moment.
great. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Everyone enjoy your 5 o'clock hour.
Take care, everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Y'all
you.
have a nice night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.